Hello and welcome to Moms After Dark. I am taking the first episode to introduce myself, who I am, and why you are going to potentially be listening to my voice for the near future. I started this podcast because I believe that there are so many things that we don't talk about as moms. I'm a first-time mom to a beautiful little boy who will be 2 in June, and everything up to the point of his second birthday has been extremely complicated. My pregnancy was really hard. My pregnancy journey to even have a positive pregnancy test was really hard. And pretty much everything from the minute I got 2 lines on a pregnancy test has been really hard. But it's also opened my eyes to a community of moms, whether you're a first-time mom or a mom to many, that there are just so many topics and so many things we don't talk about, or things that get shoved under a rug. And I don't know, but I've been made to feel like the crazy one, the cuckoo one. So let's begin with a little bit of my story. So I'm Tennille. I am a South African young vibey mom, as I would like to call it, to a beautiful little boy who is just flourishing, enjoying life. He's healthy, he is strong, and he is just so not what anyone prepared me for. I am 33 years old. I'm married, and I currently live in Johannesburg. So there's me in a nutshell. Now to the real story, the hectic story that I'll share with you. And whether you resonate with some of it, all of it, or none of it, thank you for joining. And there will be, I'm not going to give away too much, but we have some incredible guests that we will be hosting and collaborating with in the very close future. And if you are also one of those, please always feel free to reach out to me. I'll leave contact information in my bio. So if you feel like these are one of the topics that you would like to discuss more, or if there's a topic that I've potentially missed or not thought of, this is what this forum's for. It's a safe place for moms to come to vent, to have a community of people where we're all living the same reality. Maybe some more severe than others, but it's your safe place, mama. There's no judgment here. There is obviously super PG language at times, so please don't have the podcast on loudspeaker where your little ones could potentially pick up bad words. So that's just a precursor to get us going, to say, look, it's not a PG rated podcast. This is raw, this is real, this is unscripted, and I hope you enjoy. So I'll get into it again. I am, or have not had, the easiest journey with having my first child. I only have one. I'm not 100% sure I would have another one, just given how difficult I have seen my life unfold since having my little guy. So I couldn't fall pregnant naturally. There were a lot of fertility issues that were at play. I'll obviously deep dive into IVF, fertility journeys, and things like that in another podcast, but this is just my story. And I had pretty much given up. My husband and I are best friends. So let's start there. We are, or have been, together for 12 years. We were inseparable. We did everything together. I'll reiterate, he's my best friend, my only friend, my ride or die, my emergency contact, all of those cute little things that we can put to our partner. He is 10 years older than me, and he comes from a very strict, put-together family. I come from a slightly more dysfunctional family, if you can call it that. But I mean, I did say this was raw, uncut, unscripted, and as real as you get. So I'm not going to hide anything from my listeners. I am going to just be me. And I know that that's going to come with a lot of hate. So I have got my armor on, and I will make sure that I'm ready for it all. I don't think you start a podcast like this without the expectation of having some haters. So it's going to be what it's going to be. But I went through a fertility clinic. I went through many steps, and eventually decided that I was pretty much done with this. I didn't have the emotional energy, the physical energy, or the mental energy to give having a baby any more of my energy. And what that led to was finding out that I actually needed a surgical intervention. And I said, no problem, that would be the last step for me. And 6 weeks later, I had my first positive pregnancy test. Like I said, we'll go into more detail about infertility, IVF, and other people's journeys, which mine might seem trivial, but it's still mine and I own it, and that's that. When I found out I was pregnant, I obviously was extremely excited, and I didn't really know who to phone first or what to do first. And it was just such an exciting time for me. I was already, because of hormone treatments and all sorts of things, I was waking up at crazy, strange hours of the morning. So I peed on my first stick at, I think it was 5 o'clock in the morning. And I let it just sit. I actually forgot about it because I'd been down this road before. So many negatives, like just not getting my hopes up. It's going to be what it's going to be. And when I eventually remembered that I had actually taken one, I went back and there it was, bam, pregnant, 1 to 2 weeks. I took a clear blue test, a digital test, one that had been sitting in my drawer for Lord knows how long. So I thought, given my history, don't get my hopes up, but get my hopes up, get really excited, but also just wait for final confirmation from doctors and all the rest of it. Like I mentioned, my husband and I are best friends, so I wasn't going to even contemplate hiding this from him until I had doctor confirmation. I wanted him on this journey with me right from the beginning, like we had been when we officially decided that, we wanted kids. So I walked into the room when he woke up, which I couldn't wait for him to wake up. It was 2 hours after I had the positive pregnancy test. And I handed it to him, and his face, I think he pretty much lost all the blood flow to his face. And immediately right then and there is where my journey of I'm a little bit confused started. I thought that there would be a lot more excitement and, jump for joy. And it was sort of like I got left in limbo. He wasn't not excited, but he was also not as excited as I expected him to be. And I get it. It's a big life change that things are about to pretty much tip on their head. So later that day, I obviously couldn't wait until 9 o'clock my time when all the doctors opened. And I say all the doctors, I was still with my fertility clinic at the time. I hadn't, as they say, graduated to my normal OB or gynecologist. So sent the fertility clinic a message to say, I've gotten a positive pregnancy test. What do we do from here? And, they were so kind, as they had been through the whole journey, and scheduled a blood test to say we need to confirm that it is actually a pregnancy. And once we have your HCG results, then we'll do a internal ultrasound scan to see if we can see anything yet. It might be too soon, but we'll give it a bash. And I think what's important at this stage of my journey, and I'm sure there are a lot of other people that feel this way, is you're so scared and you're so nervous as to what the outcome might be. Is this a false positive? Is it something that is maybe like ectopic? I don't know. You go through so many waves of emotion that you're in an official process. I'm going to have my blood taken. I'm going to do all of these things to confirm that I'm having a baby. And I think I was, as excited as I was so in denial of what was happening just because of the difficulties I had had the whole year. So I found out I was pregnant in November, and pretty much every single month before that, it was like I was making it through the months. It was really intense. So I had my HCG blood test done, I had my internal scan, and everything was confirmed. But because of how I fell pregnant so quickly after having my surgical intervention, the doctors gave me pretty scary statistics on whether my pregnancy was going to take or not. And I was right then and there told, don't tell anyone about your pregnancy yet because we don't know how viable it is. And that already puts so much doubt in your mind. But I mean, I respected their transparency, and I respected the fact that they were honest with me and disclosed all this information to me. And I was also really scared because that same year, I had bought my husband a trip to the Maldives for his 40th. And we were supposed to be leaving literally a week after I found out I was pregnant, which already I'm a high risk pregnancy. I don't know if my pregnancy is viable. And now I'm going to travel from South Africa to Maldives is pretty much like 17 hours, 18 hours, if not more, of traveling. So, there's another hard conversation. Doctors have to sit you down. You need to have all sorts of injections to make sure you don't clot. So there was already so much anxiety, so much stress, and so much pressure on me to do these things while still somewhat enjoying my holiday, my very well-deserved holiday after the year I had. I could not wait for this break, and this break now was coming with its own amount of baggage. And I felt so overwhelmed and just completely at my wit's end that I felt like life wasn't giving me a break. Nothing was giving me a break. And I was so extremely sensitive to everything at that time. I think the combination of hormones and, again, everything I had been through in the year. My husband sort of told me to back up, get it done. Like, it's fine. It's going to be what it's going to be. And again, now I reflect back on that, and I was so hurt by that reaction by him because I expected a little bit more support, and I expected him to hold my hand, good days, bad days, in between days. And I look back on it now, and I'm very comfortable in deciding that I have every right to feel the way I felt and not to blame it on hormones and constantly find excuses for these feelings that we as moms to be go through. It's completely normal, and it's should not be dismissed or, ignored. We have feelings and we have emotions, and yes, I understand that males can't always understand what we're going through because they can't do what we're doing. But there is a level at which they need to get to help understand where you are and what you're going through. And I feel like this is why I've started this podcast, because as we go on to, further episodes, I deep dive into the raw reality of the shitstorm that relationships, marriages, friendships, everything go through when your feelings are dismissed, or when you feel unheard, or when you have questions about things that nobody really wants to answer because it's uncharted water and it's seen as something, oh no, don't talk about that. So, I mean, an example of a podcast or an episode that's coming up in Moms After Dark is sexual relations with your husband or your partner post having a baby. What's normal? What's not normal? How do we classify normal? How do we classify unnormal? I know that in my experience, and I don't want to give too much away of the podcast, but there is a time where you feel super unloved, super unattractive, and you question why your partner isn't maybe sexually attracted to you anymore. And no, moms, no, it's not in your fucking head, okay? Everybody has the right to feel the way they feel, and they feel that way for a reason. So stop making out that you are the problem, or that you have made this up because your hormones, you're still postpartum, you're still this, you're still that. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. So we'll get there. But back to my journey. Went to Maldives, super stressful. I was so exhausted. Blood thinners made me feel like absolute dog's breakfast. I was nauseous. But in reality, I can't complain. I didn't have any of the other pregnancy symptoms. I kind of just got on with it. So I am a digital marketer by trade. I help companies and brands and everything increase their social following, help them with content creation, etc., etc. I won't get into that. It's very boring. But I'm a freelancer. I don't work for an agency or a company. I freelance. I'm an independent contractor. And before I found out I was pregnant with my son, I took on probably the most challenging experience of my life. I started my company, and I said to myself and my husband, my company is the baby I can't have yet. So I'm going to invest all my love, all my attention, and everything into my company and grow it. I am very blessed, very lucky that I grew it to the point that I did. I got some incredible clients during that year. And one of them pretty much consumed my entire life. It was a JSE listed FSP that did a lot of work with local South African influencers. We worked on things like the Rugby World Cup. And, you needed to be bum in seat sort of thing. So instead of working from home, which is what I do with my other clients, I actually had to be in offices or in locations, shooting, content, getting things up, doing lives, managing PR, all that fun stuff. And it was super funny because nobody that I worked with actually knew I was pregnant until I was like 6-7 months pregnant. I was very lucky that I was either, wearing the right clothes or I just hit it really well. And eventually I realized my contract is coming to an end, but it's not going to end before I have my baby. So I kind of need to disclose to these people that, listen, 2 months of the contract that I owe you, I am actually, one of those months I'm going to be having a baby. And the other month I really like to take as maternity leave and just enjoy the newborn stage and, embrace motherhood. Well, I am an extremely OCD person. I plan for everything. If I could plan what the weather was going to be at every hour of the day, I think I would. So I had started planning my life the minute I found out I was pregnant. This is what, if I'm having a boy, these are the names. This is the color scheme. If I'm having a girl, these are the names. This is the color scheme. It was just, I loved being pregnant. I loved the process. I loved the nesting, although I kind of feel like I really never got to nest, but we'll get there. So whilst working like an absolute dog, I think I got to about 26 weeks and I'd graduated now from my fertility clinic to my OB, and she picked up that my placenta was calcifying extremely quickly. My baby wasn't getting as much nutrients as what we needed him to, so he was a lot smaller than what they would have liked. And also, I'm really not a massive person. I'm sort of an average sized person, but he kind of started losing a lot of space. He didn't really have space to move. And she flagged this with me, sent me to the hospital, sent me into the maternity ward so that we could do a fetal stress test. I'm sure we've all done that, FST. I hate them. They were horrible because I never ever knew what the outcome was going to be after sitting on that stupid machine for an hour. So he was fine. His heart rate was fine. Everything looked good. She sent me home. And at 26 weeks here in South Africa, you get checkups then sort of routinely every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks max, so that we can make sure the baby's measuring well, movement's good, there's no contractions or signs of early labor. I won't go into all the gory details, but I got to 30 weeks and I was admitted to the hospital for very low fetal movement. Although, I flagged it because I followed my gut, which, by the way, we will get into that as well. Mamas, your gut, never don't listen to it. It's always right. So please listen to your gut. But I just thought, he's never been a big mover. It's probably nothing. Leave it be. Went to go and see her and she's like, no, actually, I think I really don't want to freak you out, but I think baby's going to come early. Now, I think baby's going to come early are exactly the words you don't want to hear coming out of your gynecologist's mouth. It's literally the most frightening thing. If you're like me, you've probably done research before having a baby. You read about prem babies. You read about all of these crazy complications. And it sent me into dizzy. I freaked out. I absolutely freaked out. So she said to me, don't stress about it. I think what we need to do is admit you and have steroid injections done so that we can speed up the growth of his lungs. I know. Sorry, just having a sip of water. But now, again, because of all the research I've done, steroid injections, do you do them? Don't you do them? Do they lead to autism? Don't they lead to autism? do I actually have any grounding to stand on right now to say, yes, I want it, or no, I don't, because I'm freaking out. But so, long story short, I have my steroid injections, and I had planned my baby shower for pretty much the Friday. I got admitted on Wednesday, and I had to move my baby shower out by a day. Fine, no problem, all good. Everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. Little did I know that when I got discharged by my OB, she was leaving the same day for Japan. I mean, moms, you can't make this shit up, okay? You're stressed out, you're freaked out, you're scared, you have no idea whether you're coming or going. And then the one person you are trusting with this whole journey decides to tell you, your baby, one, might be coming early, but two, I'm going to Japan for 2 weeks. So I met her stand-in doctor, which, I mean, it's a very awkward meet and greet because you don't know this person from a bar of soap. You're trusting them to understand your pregnancy and you, like your OB has for the past however many weeks, 30 weeks, 31 weeks. And it's a roller coaster. It's crazy. Again, long story short, I got discharged the Friday. I had my baby shower on the Saturday. And Saturday, I kind of felt like I was having Braxton Hicks. So, very hard and crampy and just not myself. But again, my husband told me it's all in my head because I had freaked myself out and not to worry about it. But if I was still concerned, I had an appointment with this new stand-in doctor on the Tuesday anyway. So again, moms, we are not crazy. When we feel something and our gut is telling us it's not right, listen. Don't let your husband talk you out of it. Don't let your mom talk you out of it. Don't let your dad talk you out of it. Don't phone your friends. Literally, it's not Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Don't make a phone call. Don't ask a friend. Follow your gut. If you don't feel like something's right, rather go, have it seen to. And if nothing's wrong, great. But if there is something wrong, early detection is everything. It can save lives. So, in my case, I let it be for Sunday. Monday, I had my appointment, which was supposed to be on Tuesday, but I made it on Monday because I just felt like something wasn't right. And Monday, the standing doctor did a normal ultrasound, checked my blood pressure, routine standard checkup. And he said to me, something's wrong. Baby's not moving nicely. I'm not happy with his heartbeat. I think he's coming today. Hello. Just take a step back, girl. Like a minute. I don't have a hospital bag packed because I've packed it and unpacked it 100 times because that's just my personality. And I just so happened to unpack it yesterday and I haven't repacked it. So no, wait, hold on. Then also, what do you mean my baby's coming today? Like, are you out of your cracker? Like, I am freaking the F out. Like, I don't know what to say, what to do. I'm literally beside myself. And he is so sweet. He calms me down. And he's like, listen, go home, get your hospital bag, get somebody to drive you here. I'm admitting you. I want to put you on a fetal stress monitor. I want to see what's going on with baby. And maybe he doesn't come today. Maybe he comes when he's supposed to. But, precaution is everything. Cool. I'm like, I need to wash my hair. I need to stop at the pharmacy to to buy more wet wipes. I'm just making such crazy things up in my head. But my dad was incredible because, my husband was in an all-day meeting. So I can't even reach the guy to let him know what's happening. I sent him a WhatsApp and I'm like, you really need to phone me. There's shit going down. Poor guy, literally runs to the bathroom, phones me and is like, what's going on? I'm like, baby's coming today. He's like, what do you mean baby's coming today? I'm like, I'm being admitted. Baby is coming today. And he's like, no, don't. I can't. I can only get to you after this stupid meeting. Shame. He's in law and he couldn't. Yeah, it was a shit show all round. My dad's freaking out. Oh, shame, my dad. My baby's having a baby. So he comes to fetch me. He's running around like a headless chicken trying to find things that I don't even think to this day he knows what he was looking for because none of it had anything to do with me or going into the hospital or anything. Baby, nothing. He was just shame. He didn't know what his name was that day. We get to the hospital, put me on the fetal monitor. Baby's heartbeat is fine, and then it just stops. My dad bangs the machine, calls the nurse, and he's like, I think this thing's broken because it's saying there's no heartbeat. And the nurse kept her cool. She literally didn't make eye contact with me, nothing. She's like, yeah, I'm just going to go and see what the doctor says about this. Very calm, cool, and collected. Cool. So she comes back in probably 15 minutes later. My husband's now arrived, surprised me, Shane, fully suited up, full suit, everything. And she says, you need to put this gown on. We're prepping you. You're going to have this baby right now. I burst out laughing, moms. I burst out laughing. I said so many fucking bad words. I don't even remember what I said, but I still looked at her. I was like, ha ha, that's so funny. I'm not having this baby today. She's like, no, this is no joke. You need to get in your gown. We're going down to have a baby right now. I didn't know what the hell was going on. But so here's where my journey starts taking its first turn to a what the fuck moment. I'm rushed down, I have a C-section, the baby comes out, he's not breathing properly. So at least he's breathing, but he is completely blue and purple, and he's just in complete fetal distress. So they intubate him and take him immediately to the NICU. For those moms that are unaware, NICU is the neonatal ICU, intensive care unit. So I'm sort of delirious from my C-section, and I think just all the adrenaline running through my system. I didn't even get to say hello to my little boy. It was so short that it almost feels like a blur, and that's why I feel like I have every right to say it didn't happen, because I can't remember it. And my husband left with them because we made a pact before baby was born, and I said, when baby comes, you don't leave that child alone for 1 second. Don't worry about me. I'll be fine. I'm with doctors. Just go with our son. Make sure you are with him at all times. And I got stitched up, sent back to my ward, and I was so out of it, but also so emotional. I was dealing with so much, and my husband came up to go to get nappies and, prep everything for Baba down in NICU. And all I wanted to do was see my son. I just had a beautiful little boy, and I couldn't meet him until the next day. Moms, I don't care what anyone says. That is trauma, okay? If you are not able to see the baby you just birthed, hold him, connect with him, have those moments, that is a form of trauma. And only now that my son is turning 2, now, in the next couple of months, am I dealing with all the PTSD that I have, which, again, there are many episodes to come with many other moms that will share very similar experiences. But PTSD postpartum, it's not a joke. It's really something that needs to be highlighted, addressed, acknowledged, and helped, because I never had help from anyone. Not my husband, not my mom. Nobody understood what I was going through except for the incredible community of mom friends that I ended up making through the NICU. And I was in a lot of pain. it was really a very hard experience for me. I had terrible shivers afterwards. My husband, luckily, was there for as long as what he could be, but he went home. I woke up the next morning and I just wanted to see my kid. I wanted to see him. I wanted to hold him. I wanted to have skin on skin. And meeting my son the next day was the most beautiful experience of my life. And I was pretty much determined to breastfeed from day dot. Everyone to themselves, a fed baby's a happy baby. So no judgment here, but I was gung-ho on breastfeeding my son. So I had blue boobs. I said this was not PG. So blue boobs from squeezing colostrum out, trying every pump under the sun, doing everything I could to bring my milk in. I was walking down probably 0.5 mils of colostrum every half an hour just to make sure he was getting some sort of me in him. And eventually my milk came in, but it took its toll. It took its toll on my body. But The scariest part for me was seeing this little human. He was 2 kilos on the dot when he was born. He was a teeny tiny little bean. Seeing this human so vulnerable was just so eye-opening for me. And I know, again, not for every mom, but for me, it was love at first sight. I was just absolutely overjoyed. I was utterly uncapped, unequivocal, like just the bond, the love. I've never felt something like that before. So everyone talks about it, but no one really says it. You can understand it until you experience it. And I do have to agree with that statement. But so the next part of my trauma comes where I got discharged from hospital, but my son didn't. He had to stay in EQ. He wasn't eating enough. His sucking was obviously super underdeveloped, being born at 32 weeks. He was underweight, losing weight far quicker than, the average baby, which every baby born will lose weight once they're born because of the water retention, et cetera, et cetera. So there were a lot of complications, but at least when I got discharged, which was 2 days after he was born on Wednesday, I was discharged Saturday morning. He was off the ventilator. He was breathing by himself nicely. Oxygen levels were high, but we had these small complications, which again, it's the tick box exercises by the pediatricians are there for a reason. Send a baby home that's not sucking well. He's going to dehydrate. You're going to be back in the emergency room. I get it. It's all been explained to me, but I still couldn't comprehend it. I'm going home without my son. It felt like a lot. It was very overwhelming. And my son spent close to a month in the NICU. I was there every single day. You as the mom are allowed to be there whenever, for however long that you want to be, except for in the evenings. So I couldn't sleep over. I couldn't be with him past 8 o'clock at night, which was the last so-called feed. I tried breastfeeding. He didn't want to latch. Obviously, his sucking he's still trying to figure out what he's doing. So I was fully exclusively pumping. I was there for every feed. I had one-on-one contact with him. I pretty much lived my life driving to and from a hospital for 4 weeks. Until one morning, I got there for a feed, and the pediatrician had already done her rounds, and the sister, or the nurse, we call them sisters here, the nurse that was looking after my son that morning, or, was coming off the night shift, said to me, "I don't know why you're here. You need to go back home." And I freaked out. I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about? I need to go home." She goes, "You need to go get your car seat. Baby's coming home." I dropped to the floor from just pure emotion, from feeling raw, vulnerable, and just completely overwhelmed, but excited all at the same time. And I keep going back to this, but there'll be many episodes coming up. But I did the NICU journey on my own. I didn't have support from my husband. He couldn't understand my need or want to be there all the time. He also struggled to understand that I suffered postpartum blues, but in the form of separation anxiety and very heavy anxiety. So I would have ugly crying, hysterical crying every time I left my kid. I didn't sleep well. I felt so alone, and I felt no one was in my corner. No one could understand this. And was it normal? I kept asking myself, am I an over-the-top mom already? Am I too much? Is this too much? What, And when I found this community of incredible women in the neonatal space, the preemie space. And so many of the moms found the same thing. They were doing this incredibly hard journey by themselves because their husbands couldn't understand what they were going through, or, they almost saw it as a free ride. Somebody's looking after your baby, feeding your baby. This is the time for you to fully recover. Like, this is a golden ticket. Well, it's not. It's not. It's shit. It's the shittest feeling in the world. You've brought this little human into the world, and you're having to leave them on a day-to-day basis with strangers. Yes, they medically qualified. This is their job, but they're strangers at the end of the day. That should be me at home in my rocking chair, or, in my bed, or on my chair, or in my couch, on my lounge, wherever you want to be. Those moments are stolen from you. And along with dealing with postpartum, you're dealing with this as well. These overwhelming thoughts of mom guilt. Mom guilt will get there because, oh my God, that should be a book on its own. But this mom guilt that overpowers every other emotion that you have is soul consuming. It's so hard. It takes everything out of you and from you to remain focused, to remain calm, and to keep a positive mindset. But this journey has shown me just how capable we are. Support, no support, it doesn't matter. We are so incredible. We are superwoman. We are superheroes. We might not have a cape or other powers, but my goodness, the powers we do have. There is a reason medical doctors are still studying mothers to this day, because we are able to tap into something nobody can understand. Medical doctor, not medical doctor, professor, not professor. People are still trying to figure us out, ladies. People are still trying to figure us out. So kudos to all of us out there. It's not an easy journey, but my son got discharged. He came home. Beautiful moments, trying to figure out how to do it all by myself as first-time mom. My husband's also trying to figure out what breast pumps look like, how they work, how can he help, and we're just trying to find normality in our lives. But the first week of my son's life was beautiful. We got into such a nice routine, very sleepless for me because I was panicking about everything. Never rely on social media, like TikTok or anything to give you mom advice, because you'll find yourself up at 1 o'clock in the morning panicking about SIDS and all sorts of other crazy things. But the journey with my son was not easy. He, being a premature baby, had inguinal hernias, both sides, left and right. He is an incredible fighter. We will get into the other half of my story of, the first 6 months of motherhood rather. And I'll have a guest with me that's also experienced very similar situations to what I experienced with my boy, she experienced with hers. So please join us for the next episode as we deep dive into the things that can go wrong with a preemie baby, that more moms should be notified about rather, to keep an eye open or heads up, those sorts of things. So that's me in a nutshell, moms. This is Moms After Dark. It is a safe place for all of us to come, talk shit, share stories, resonate with each other, make friends from all around the world, because my story is my story. I own my story. I love my story. It's made me who I am. Do I have scars? Yes. Would I change it for anything? No. Would I trade places with anyone? No. This is my story. I own it. But there are so many things about my story that I've briefly touched on, that we'll get into, that I do believe, and I feel so sad about, that there are so many moms out there that feel alone and feel like they don't have support and feel like they don't have anyone to lean on. And I want to change that. We're going to change that. This is going to be a place where night or day, this is where you come. These are people that everyone has something in common, whether that's just being a mom, which is totally fucking cool. It's rad. Or if it's underlying issues, relationship issues, friendship issues, mom struggles, postpartum. Yes, I know I said postpartum. It's like the scary, uncharted water, but it's something that needs to be spoken about. You're not crazy. You're not losing your mind. Don't let people tell you otherwise. So I hope you enjoyed my first episode. I'm very raw, very real, very unscripted, and so will the other episodes. So please subscribe, follow, and let's create an amazing community together. Stay awesome, moms. You're doing a great job. Don't let anyone tell you any different. Until next time.